We are going to get right into the huge news that came down right around old people's dinner time yesterday. And by old people, I mean me.
The Padres, of course, acquiring Dylan Cease from the Chicago White Sox in a package for 4 players: Drew Thorpe, Jairo Iriarte, Samuel Zavala, and Steven Wilson yesterday, as they add an ace of the staff, a frontline starter to join with Joe Musgrove, Yu Darvish, Michael King, and whoever ends up being the 5th starter to bolster a rotation on the eve here of the 2024 season, with the team currently en route to South Korea. They are scheduled to arrive a little bit early in Seoul. The flight seems to be going well across the Pacific Ocean. And according
tracking them right now?
I've seen other people tracking them. I am not on the Tracker app, but it is definitely available out there. And while Dylan Cease is not on that plane, according to reports, he will be joining the team in the next day or two, and likely will be available if they would like to pitch him against the Dodgers next week in one of the first 2 games of the season.
I know, think about from his perspective. Number one, I mean, I'm sure and I can tell by just the research that I did, the people that I talked to last night, going and looking at his Instagram, he really liked pitching for the Chicago White Sox. Now, that's a team that was honestly not really going anywhere. And I think many people, this year at least, we're like, well, maybe the Padres aren't going anywhere either with the beast up north and all that. But boy, the narrative flips on a dime when you add a guy like Dylan Cease. And I think for him, he's also like, okay, I'm looking at who's playing behind me back there, and I keep the ball down. I get to pitch in Petco Park. I'm gonna have a good time. San Diego's a beautiful place as well. But the think about when he gets that news, and they're like, hey, by the way, we're all gone. We're on a plane. We're getting out of here. Jump on a plane by yourself. Come on out. 14-hour flight to Korea. We'll see you when you get out there. Get you acclimated.
We'll
maybe
get you the extra leg room and coach seating. The Coach Plus on the way over.
Dude, I got to go by myself? Really? Okay. I guess I'll see you guys over there. Welcome to the Padres, buddy, where nothing is ever not weird. It's always weird. There's always something weird going on. Making a huge trade then 15 minutes before the plane taxis
just give me,
out.
what were your initial reactions when you heard the news yesterday that Dylan Cease was joining the Padres?
I was excited to see.
Fist pump, excitement, correct?
Fister, absolutely, yeah, 100%. I was like, oh my God.
What was it, about 4:15?
Yeah, about 4:15.
4:30, somewhere in that range.
So I gave
Jeff passing with the passing bomb.
I gave it the big, oh my God.
And of course, he doesn't tell you.
No, he didn't tell you.
Who's in the return.
So
You're just dying.
That was the next part of oh God. And in my mind, I immediately made my list of people that would bum me out if they were part of the return. And it was honestly, it was Jackson Merrill, Ethan Salas, which I thought there's no effing way that happened. So get it out of your head now. Drew Thorpe was in there for me. Iriarte was in there for me. Snelling was in there for me. Lesko was in there for me. And I thought, it's going to be, better get strapped in, because it's going to be at least one, maybe 2 of those guys. Then there were names where I'm like, if it's him, it's him. Whatever. I didn't really want to move big league pieces either. That was like, this better be prospect intensive. And, as you mentioned, did end up losing Steven Wilson in that deal. But with the emergence of so many other guys this spring, I feel pretty good about the deal, to be honest. And looking deeply at Dylan Cease's numbers, we talked about it on the show yesterday. He's about 100, at worst, he's about 165 innings a year that he's going to eat, and that was one of our bigger headaches this year, and it's been solved.
I knew you guys, would be fired up, so my instinct as, radio host is to look, okay, what are the negatives here? Obviously, Dylan Cease didn't have a great year last year, 7-9, 4.58 ERA, following up a really terrific 2022 in which he was the American League Cy Young runner-up. But ultimately, to be honest, I think this is a really good deal for the Padres. I do. I'd love to give you the other side today and go, here's why you should tap the brakes. I think this is exactly the kind of deal that the Padres needed, and we talked about it a little bit yesterday on the show. Timely conversation about a Dylan Cease trade possibility yesterday on the show.
If you're focusing on just last year, when you look at the career of Dylan Cease,
Sure, you can't.
You're a pessimist.
You can't.
Like,
Yeah, it's
you're
just
looking for negatives
That's
because
a-
that was a team that was going nowhere fast.
bad team.
Obviously,
Worst defense in baseball.
obviously,
as
Drew
Hunter says,
Thorpe and Jairo Iriarte could both end up being stars of the future, and Cease could have a disappointing 2 years, and you can go, wow, that was a terrible trade the Padres made. But as of this moment, I look at this deal and what it does for the San Diego Padres. And while I probably wouldn't have said yesterday that the Padres are a Dylan Cease away from being a contender, when you look at the difference in the rotation just by adding Dylan Cease, and Fangraphs is already projecting, I think they had the Padres now between like 5 and 7 in terms of their starting rotation in the big leagues. We know that they've got a pretty good bullpen that AJ put together. He focused on this offseason. That's a very good pitching staff the Padres had. Now it comes down to a lineup that, while it has some questions and a rookie out there and an unknown in left field, it has some superstar players, and if you get superstar seasons out of a couple of those guys, why wouldn't this be a playoff team at this point? I mean, is it crazy to say that Dylan Cease makes that much of a difference between going, the Padres maybe 500, a little bit, maybe a fringe playoff contender, to all of a sudden looking at the roster and going, yeah, if things break decently, this should be at least a wild card team now in the National League.
I feel like a moron to even speculate on it because last year has messed me up so bad as far as what I know about the game of baseball. I'm so hesitant, Ben, to dive in jump in both feet and be like, oh, we're in the playoffs now. You know what I mean? I can't do it. It changed me. It changed how I view the game last season. It made no sense that team didn't make the playoffs. There's no way I would have bet my firstborn on it, right?
Sorry, Bo.
So that's why, enjoy your new family. Your dad lost you in a bet. Have fun. There's no way that team should have missed the playoffs with the talent that they had. So I'm very hesitant to be like, this puts us over the top. As much as I want to, much as I'd love to get that on record, it makes us better. We're a better team today than we were yesterday. By far.
I feel the same as Ben. 24 hours ago, I did not think that the Padres are a Dylan Cease away from being serious contenders in 2024. And then the trade happens, and all of a sudden I start finding myself going there. Except I'm still greedy. I need more. Now that AJ we know that he's alive. He's awoken from the offseason slumber since the Soto trade and a couple of relief pitchers and not a whole lot else. Now that AJ's active again, got Dylan Cease, I'm like, go get us a left field bat, and then we ride.
That's it. Drew says in the chat, this is a roster that can compete for the division title and could win the division. I think that is a bit pie in the sky. I do.
Yeah.
I think this, look, I'm not trying to, pee in your Cheerios at 6:10 this morning, but I believe that this is the Dodgers division. They're loaded and deep. And if one guy goes down, there's another guy. Like Ben just said, everything's going to have to break the right way for the Padres to make the playoffs. I think I wouldn't hurt myself by thinking that they're still in a division race. I just don't think so. He said, I can't effing stand people already conceding the division. Then you can't effing stand me because I don't think that you're even shooting for a division. I think that's a fool's errand at this point. But your team got much better. Your rotation went whoop and got nice and much longer. Takes a lot of pressure off the guys at the bottom of the rotation, the Waldrons, potentially the Avilas. But
even Michael King,
100%. He's not sitting there going, oh my God, they're gonna go 7 every time out.
Settling into the 4.
This helps the bullpen. This helps everything.
Takes a lot of that pressure off.
And for Dylan Cease, he's going to get a chance to pitch in a great pitcher's ballpark with a world-class defense behind him, at least in the infield for now. So I couldn't be happier about this. I really
and a
couldn't.
pitching coach that has helped.
Yes,
a pitcher who was very much like Dylan Cease from the left side win a Cy Young Award last year with Ruben Niebla and Blake Snell, and that's the comp. That's the comp I've seen the most, that Dylan Cease is about the closest to a right-handed Blake Snell as you're going to find in terms of the swing and miss, the great stuff. He's going to walk some guys, but he's going to strike out a lot of guys. That's what you're getting in Dylan Cease, except He makes more starts and throws more innings,
Yeah.
which is also why I like this deal so much, because the one area that you really could not look at the 2024 Padres and say they're going to be okay is where are they going to get enough innings out of their starting rotation after losing Snell and Waka and Lugo and Martinez? It just looked like we are really preying on some things that are unlikely to happen in terms of getting enough innings from Brito and Vasquez and Waldron. How is this ever going to happen to fill 2 spots in the starting rotation? Now, if you can get solid years out of Cease, Musgrove, Darvish, King doesn't have to go 190 innings. If King can go, 150 or so,
which is a huge jump for him.
which is a jump, but it's not the crazy jump they were talking about. Now you're filling 1 spot at the end with a bevy of guys, with Waldron and Brito and Vasquez, and that's not asking too much. That's, hey, give us 80 to 110 solid innings, all of you combined together. That's plenty, and it just changes the dynamic. It changes the expectation for me of the San Diego Padres going into this season.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, obviously, super, super excited about it. Super excited about it. But, me and Drew were going back and forth. He said, you're a fool if you start your season with a second-place mindset. F that noise. Yeah, I mean, if I'm on the team, I don't have that. I'm not on the team. I'm just a guy looking at it going, this is probably the Dodgers. Okay, Drew and everyone else, why would the Dodgers, who spent $1 billion, and they've won the division every year,
except when the
Giants
won a
right?
ridiculous 107
What
games.
if they won? Like 11 out of 12 or something like that?
Sounds about right.
So again, I'm just trying to be a realist here and say you don't need to win a division to make the playoffs. You don't. You just got to get in the playoffs. And that's what this team's goal should be, is make the playoffs, see what happens. So he absolutely helps this team tremendously.
I get the mindset that you don't concede anything before a single game has been played.
Of course.
The Giants were not expected to win 107 games when they did a couple of years ago and beat out the Dodgers. In fact, I'd say this Padres team probably has more raw talent than that Giants team did. So much went right for that team.
Yeah.
You need so much to go right to win a division. You now just need things to go decently right to give the Padres a good shot at making the playoffs as a wild card. And that's a much better place than needing a bunch of unlikely things to happen to get to the playoffs.
Of course.
That's what this changes.
And I'm not living in Pity City here. I'm not even renting in Pity City. I'm elated. And I think that this trade made our team much, much better. And as far as the guys that we gave up, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it next. I think it could sting. I don't think it's going to sting now, but I think it could sting down the road, as almost every trade does. You're not going to be able to give them your 59th.
It's not how it works.
69th prospect to get a guy like Dylan Cease. The ask was going to hurt. It did. It's a 4-for-1 deal. One of those guys is going to hit for them and be really good. So that's the price you pay. I'm excited they made the move. I'm very excited to watch Dylan Cease pitch at Petco Park.